On it?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think you have two accounts though.
Um, is this on or Facebook?
No, it's
Oh,
on YouTube
gosh.
and Facebook, but I can tag you on Facebook.
I'm Arise Humanity on YouTube.
I can't tag you on
Arise
YouTube
Humanity,
yet.
two words. Capital A, capital
What are you
H.
on? What are you on Facebook?
Medyhne Sovereign,
Okay.
Medyhne, and then separate words, Sovereign,
Yeah,
capital
I
S.
got that. Let me see if I can locate. It won't pull up. You must have some kind of restriction on it.
Oh,
That's what I'm thinking. All right, they're coming in now. We got 18 people in the house.
hmm.
This is Medina and Medyhne conversation.
Your namesake.
Yeah, your name is pronounced Medina. So if you ever married a Medina, your name would be Medina Medina.
That's true. That would be a bit repetitive, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I went with this girl in junior high, and her name was Dina, and she wouldn't stay with me because her name was Dina Medina if we got married. So
You're frozen, by the way. I can't see you live.
that's got to be on your end. I've got. Oh, wait a minute.
Okay.
I don't know what's going on
Okay, I'll
here.
see if I can fix
No,
it.
no, no. I don't think it is your end. I take that back.
Oh, it
Hang
isn't.
on. There's something
Okay.
funky going on over here.
Mm-hmm.
Funkiness. I
Yeah.
shouldn't be having that happen right now. Huh.
Hmm.
That's strange. I think it'll be all right. So let's see. How long's it been? 2 minutes and 2 seconds. That means it's been enough time for people to come in. Morgan said, I don't know if you could handle another wife. I don't. I have one. I don't want one. So we see you on Facebook. Yeah. All the platforms are up. So where are you at? I forgot. Where are you located?
Well, I've moved since we chatted last, which was quite a few years
A
ago.
couple of years ago. A
But
couple of years ago.
a couple of years ago, um, I'm now in Tweed Heads at the minute, but I'm about to move again. Uh, but it's been lovely. I really enjoyed being here.
Where are you?
Tweed Heads, just near the border, New South Wales and Queensland.
Oh, you're right there where all the action is. All the action seems to
True.
have been in the northern New South Wales, southern Queensland, with all the rain, protest. What else have
Mm.
y'all dealt with a bunch of stuff over there? Shortages.
Floods, huge floods. Um, it's funny because I seem to sort of sometimes be where the action is energetically. When I was in Dalesford years ago, they had really bad fires there. And then I moved to another town and then they had floods there. And then I've moved here and they've got all this stuff happening. So there's, I guess, my energy is meant to be in these types of
Yeah, I think there's a lot of
situations.
us positioned in places we'd rather not be for that very
Yeah,
reason.
exactly.
Did you get a feel for the people over there? How are the general people reacting to all this? Are they pushing back on the government at all?
Well, I'm telling you that I'm not seeing a lot of it. I think there is, a gradual awakening happening energetically. I can feel it intuitively. But when you look around and when you talk to people, it still seems fairly stagnant energetically in terms of the growth and the awakening. There's a lot of this going on, people even outside and riding bikes, things like this. And
I saw
there's all,
I saw the funniest thing yesterday was excuse me. It was Joe Biden coming off of the airplane with a
I saw
mask.
that too.
He has a mask on. He comes all the way down the stairs to meet the dignitaries of whatever country he was going to. And he takes off his mask, wipes his
Uh,
nose, and then Hank shakes her hand. And I'm like,
oh, unbelievable.
yeah, it's
I mean,
hilarious.
the other way around, he'd be putting the mask on when he's, if there's
So
such an issue,
you
which
you
of course we
you
know it's not.
you said that like a lot of us, you find yourself in in a certain geographical location, it makes some sense to you at some level, some sense you know that you're there for a reason. Are you getting collective or regional intel of what's going on, why you're there, what's happening in like in the energetic field?
Yeah. Well, on a personal level, we had a big situation where the dark came against me and my partner, and so we had that to deal with. And apparently, we had success in the outcome of that at a higher level. I won't go into the details because I'm not actually allowed to. But so that happened at a personal level. So, and then in terms of the energetics, we've been placed in a community which is all very conservative, traditional, not very awakened. And so with them, I haven't seen any shifting in their energy, but I'm obviously here for a reason. And at a wider level, obviously there's a lot of trauma that people are working through with the incredibly huge consequences of the floods. It was the largest disaster, as we know, in Australian history now. We've had insurance representatives say that it has been the largest disaster ever in Australian history, the recent flooding in this area, which actually was in two waves, no,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
no pun intended. It was, it happened twice. And so there's a huge, cellular wounding or trauma with that energetically. So, um, of people transmitting that. There's also the positive side of that is that the community had to really dig deep and come together,
Yeah.
and so there's been an upliftment in that as well, which is that uniting and that ability to rise above all the challenges
Yeah.
and just connect, really at that heart level. So there's been some really positive things that have come from that as well.
Yeah, I've seen some amazing things, people helping each other out, coming from hours and hours and hours away. You know, amazing when the army or the government wasn't even in there for like around Lismore for like 2 or 3 weeks. They didn't even show up. And then once they showed up, they kicked everybody out. But,
That's right. Or they otherwise just had a quick filming session and moved
right.
on.
So you mentioned, and this is something that happens to a lot of people too, either in a relationship or alone, maybe a group. People use the word, I was attacked. Use the words, I was attacked. We were attacked. Uh, we've all had our different experiences. I don't think any of us really knows how all that works, but I'm just curious without getting into the details, total respect. But in general terms, I'm just curious, knowing you and knowing your sensitivities, like you and your partner, did you feel, do you feel that there was any correlation between what seemed to be an external attack and internal things that you had to face or realize on an individual level and as a couple?
Absolutely. I think so many of us are healing our sort of like persecution energies from many, many lifetimes of being light workers, healers, who have been targeted. You just got to look at the 15 generations of witches burned at the stake, which were basically, spiritually oriented beings that were a threat to the control systems. So definitely there's always, when something happens on the external, something that you've got to look at within on the inner in order to transmute. Absolutely. And I was able to main throughout most of it have a sort of a neutral way of dealing with it, where I was in non-attachment and not allowing it to trigger me. um, so I was quite happy with how I dealt with that. I monitored myself through that whole situation. And so I think that there's always that personal level of something that you're learning and that you're transmuting and that you're growing and evolving as a soul. And then there's the more sort of wider perspective, which is perhaps doing something for the collective. I mean, so many of us on some level are here to liberate this planet and to step out of all these control structures and the enslavement, you know, codes and all that sort of thing that we have been living in for thousands of years. So, yeah, there's always those different dimensions that you're working on.
So this period that you were talking about, was this in the past year?
Yes, it
How
was.
long? How long ago did it start? I'm just curious.
Sure. It started about October,
Oct-
November,
October, November.
um,
Okay. Well,
and it
because
was pretty full on.
yeah, yeah, no
And
doubt. October was full on. October, November, December were full on. Those were the months that had the ones and twos, like the first, the second, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 20, 21, 22. There seemed to be like really powerful days, and uh, it was very intense. But the reason I was asking is because some people have been talking about approximately the past year, like
yes,
maybe going back to maybe like March of last year, and how there's just been a lot of challenges. A lot of
yeah.
couples didn't make it, be they
Mm,
together a short period or a long period. A lot of people had a lot of changes in their lives, but since February 22nd, it seems like we're in a totally different world. Certainly after we got through maybe some integration in March, but April, but this last month has been absolutely. This month has just been incredible. Where do
yeah.
you think see things standing right now? What do you think's happening?
I agree with you. I felt a real shift in the last month as well, a very positive shift, which is fantastic. Where do I see things going? Was that the question?
Yeah, I mean, like, what's your feel for what's happening right now? If whatever insight you have or intel you might have.
Okay. Well, I'd love to share with you some information about the galactics that's been happening. So, about a month ago, um, I had contact from this lady who's a client and a friend, and she contacted me to say that she had three dots on her wrist and like another mark on her wrist, and she wanted me to help, decipher what that was about. So that was really interesting. And then I went to sleep and I woke up, and my right arm, I think it was my right arm. It was either my obviously my left or right arm, but I think it was my right arm. And I had this aching in my arm, and it was like really really itchy. And I thought, oh gosh, I've had a spider bite or something. And I looked down at my arm, and I had the same three dots, and so other few little marks on there as well. And they healed really really quickly, which is also another interesting sign. And so, I had basically the same experience as she just mentioned the night before. So I went in and I asked, and I definitely got that it was a benevolent, positive galactic experience. I had a experience with ETs a few years ago where they came in and they gave me an implant, but it was a positive thing actually. And after they did that, there was three of them, and they kissed me on the head. They left, which is my language. They're talking my language. Stop. So that was really interesting. And so basically, when that happened too, I was questioning what it was, and I got that it was something to help us, to help me, and to help the collective. And I was listening to a video, interestingly, last night by a guy called Kevin White Sky Cloud, a Native American Indian. He said the implants from the benevolent ones can often be communication implants. They can be locators to locate where you are, and they also help with your health. And when I really felt into it, it felt like more like a communication implant or a locator one. So that was interesting. But anyway, coming back to the story with the three dots. So then I asked for more information on that, and I got a dream that I was taken by all these orbs. All these beautiful orbs came down, and they took me to a ship, which is like an ark, a ship. It's a spaceship, and um, I was taken there, and there was some sort of learning or education or something like that involved. And it could be also potentially like a QR code, these three dots. So you go in and you use that to get in, and it reads your frequency. That's
Have
something
you
that came up as well.
have you tried to connect to the energy of those beings?
Yeah, yeah, and
What's happened there?
well, um, I'll just there was a little bit more.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Just I'm sorry.
So
They just fire
no,
out spontaneously. But keep going. We can come back to that. We can come back to that. Keep
yeah,
going.
sure, sure. So then this, you know how you get different bits of information that's sort of like a puzzle, and it puts the whole puzzle piece together, and it fills in the information. So it comes into your field what you need to know. So then I was looking into the whole arc situation. You know, there are arcs being activated around the planet, and I feel like star seeds or light workers are having this sort of similar experience, and it could potentially be activating all these arcs around the planet. Now, these arcs, they say, one theory is that these arcs are being activated so that they can, in a sort of like an emergency situation, they can collect everyone. It's a star seed in of a, the
See
right
that
frequency and
part I
right
don't
vibration.
that part I never have understood. Like if we are soul, what's there to save? And
Yes.
I always obviously we want to stay open to the unlimitedness of the light. But by virtue of that, we also have to stay open to what we least might want to run into or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
So when I look at like was it early last year they had all those monoliths that kept appearing all around the world. They had these
Yeah.
long monoliths that in the middle of nowhere and it came and it went. And
Hmm.
the arc thing, I mean Mary Rodwell and I had a long talk about that a few weeks ago when that Michael Sala was first bringing that information out and other people were
Yeah.
too. But I still have to look at everything that external I think has been driving us. It's the local external, I think, where we're starting to operate, and being that it's closest to our internal, you know, frequency,
Mm.
our vibration.
Yeah.
That seems to be makes sense. That's where you would change things first. That's where you'd find oneness first. I mean, I don't know. Headlines. To me, it doesn't matter if it's the Starseed Lightworker platforms or it's the 9 o'clock news. Anything that's getting press, anything that's getting any substantial amount of engagement, uh, viewership, whatever you want to call it, I have to question it. I have to.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting too because they just in the last week on Tuesday had a huge congressional hearing in the US over whether if what are they called? Well, they don't call them UFOs now. They've got a different name,
Yeah,
but
they said,
basically
"Oh, by the way, we have
and
400. We have 400 now." Like, come on, cut the
they're
bullshit.
saying they don't exist. So basically, no, there's no
I
evidence.
mean, we're
And
talking about.
have they ever been shot at by the
I'm
military?
sorry.
Oh no, that's never happened. So all this incredible disinformation, and they're flying past us every second in the sky. You're seeing them everywhere. I've got friends sending me UFO videos all
Yeah,
the
I
time
mean,
of them.
yeah. There's no
So
doubt there's no doubt that there's been a massive uh, you know amount of UFO stuff ramping up. I mean, you got to remember we're talking about. You can go back to so many different examples. Like 1953. They have more than one account of guys that were in the service. I think this was in God, I can't remember what base this was at. 1953. They were taking what was it? They were taking a small object from one side of the base and teleporting it to the other side of the base without error. So that was 1952, 53. You know,
yeah,
it's not about, see, to me, all this UFO stuff, it's not about the Galactic Federation or our star family. I'm not saying they're not there, but whatever we're seeing, I got to question it. I'm not going to be one of
Yeah.
those that jumps on the ship if they all land and they tell us, "Hey, these are our friends." You
Well,
know,
that's another narrative, isn't it? That the project is at Bluebeam,
Project
where they
Bluebeam,
have a
Project Bluebeam.
hologram. Yeah, and they have a hologram, and they get people to come on board, and it's a nefarious thing. So
Yeah.
exactly, that's another narrative. I will say my partner's brother saw a huge mothership, and he was beamed up. And then after that experience, he was leaving the ship, and then he was chased by the men in black. There was 4 or 5 of them in the car. So,
See,
and he never
this
thinks
is
about
a
the
okay. This
experience
is
that he
another thing I
passed.
don't get. I feel like that we talk about the story. You know how we had to let go of the story of our trauma and even let go of what we connect to. I mean, it's all coming back to us. But why is it that in the realm, supposedly, okay, you've got these men in black, which I believe. I've seen enough. I mean, I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying anyone's got to believe in it, but I mean, I'm just giving my personal. It's a good possibility it's there. But why aren't there men in white? Why is it that all the bullshit and the interference and the apparent intrusions and violations are driven by these higher levels of intelligence or supposedly malevolent that are pushing the buttons of all these people that are our brothers and sisters or whatever? Why isn't the same representation on the other side of the coin?
Well, maybe it's just a reflection of our own fear as a collective consciousness. You know,
Good
as
point.
we evolve and we grow,
Good
we'll
point.
magnetize in higher and higher frequency experiences. And I think we're going through that process now where we are all raising our vibration. And so we're going to be creating different experiences for ourselves. And I also think that everyone has their own personal timeline. And so everyone's experience is unique and individual and can be completely different to
Yeah.
anyone else's.
Well,
So
that's true. Yeah.
it all
There could
emanates
be 8 billion,
ultimately
8 billion Earths
from
occurring
us.
right side by side. But you make a great point. No wonder your name's Medyhne. But you make a great point. No, you make a great point. And that was kind of where my question came from, which really came from what you were talking about first at some global situation or something that, far external. And that is, we're, whatever it is out there, that is us. So you're right.
Yeah,
We've been standing over here like on defense and too scared to come out because of we're going to get, the shoe's going to drop on us. And these distractions that are external are all the same potential power grabber from us. In other words, the narrative's only changing, the story's only changing because more is being included. It's still about us. If we want to see men in white, it's coming from our own internal transformation versus us being part of some ground crew revolution. I'm not saying we're not, but like we're fighting some system. We're not fighting some system. We're transforming ourselves, and everything changes from there. So I love what you said.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I think that now is the moment. Like, I was just chatting with my partner, and he said to me, "Do you think I should do some more, forgiveness work on anyone?" That's just a simple technique you can do.
Yeah.
I'm a spiritual holistic healer and counselor, so this is what I talk about with my clients. There's forgiveness is really, really a key factor to raising your vibrational frequency. Whenever you hold any elements of resentment or anything like that, it will basically just come back to yourself. And so you want to be transmuting any of these shadow aspects of self, any of these aspects of ourself that we don't necessarily want to look at, but we need to, confront them now. And anything where we're triggered and we're not able to maintain neutrality is something that's worth looking at this
Well,
time.
I think the energy now is not going to let us go.
No.
It's not going to let us go. Like I think, just being a part of Morgan's New Earth Grid groups these last couple of weeks, or really for a few weeks, and seeing the overall change, like collectively. Because we all know that as the individual goes, so goes the collective. So like we're all sensitive to what's happening collectively. You mentioned,
Yes.
what did you mention? But the one that's been coming up now over these last couple of weeks with people that I've just run into, myself and Morgan, obviously talk about it every day. But like what's up has been shame, guilt, judgment. Like these things,
Right.
and we were talking about it this morning, and she said, I think on David Hawkins' scale of consciousness that's the very last one, and it is. Shame is the very last one. And if you
Yes.
think about
Absolutely. It's funny
yeah,
because I tested Biden and he was in shame.
what's that? You
But
test?
no, the energy of Biden, who is probably not around now anyway,
Oh,
because it
Biden.
just seems to be CGI or something else. But yeah, it
I
was in
feel
shame.
sorry for him. I
I
feel
think
sorry
it's
for
really
him.
interesting that the scale of consciousness, yeah, it's if you can hold that frequency of love, you can impact 750,000 souls, which is 500, and you can also diffuse the negative impact of any souls underneath that. That's what Wayne Dyer was quoted as saying as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think if you look at yourself on that scale of consciousness, get a reading. I do readings on that if anyone wants to get one. They're fantastic. I love them because they help us move, progress forward. There's something to aim for. And, I noticed in the last 2 months, Australia went from fear to anger, which is up two whole sections. And
Now,
I think
how
that's
did you pick up
because
on that? Did you pick up on that through your sessions or through
intuitively,
plugging
I
in?
work with a Medyhne, but I also work intuitively, and that's what I got. And to me, when I do these readings, people always say that they feel on an inward level, they feel really accurate. So I trust them. I think that they're, people have to
What's
obviously
that?
put them through their own filter and their own discernment, but I
What's
think that they can be really accurate. Yeah.
what's that? What?
Sorry.
What's accurate?
Oh, the readings on that
Oh,
scale of
readings.
consciousness
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
See,
I'm
that's
doing. Yeah.
I see
So
this. I see. Some people have mentioned this, and I actually see this as a really good sign, which is there's more and more healers, readers, mediums, whatever you want to call it, channelers, downloaders, transmitters every single day. And I ask myself, so what's everybody's going to be a healer? But to me, what it is, it's indicative of the level of transformation and the contagious aspect of the transformational energy, i.e., the aligning energy, the healing energy, the expanding energy, the turning on code energy. I think it's expanding rapidly, extremely
absolutely.
rapidly. So there's so many
Yeah.
people that are handling their own stuff more
Mm,
every day, right?
mm. The external circumstances are forcing people to really look within, because when you get to a level of sort of pain or suffering or challenge, there's nowhere else to go. You have to go in ultimately. So I think that's pushing people, and I do think in the future there won't need to be any healers because we will just be at such a vibrational frequency
That's
that
right.
it won't be needed as
People
well.
people keep talking about the med beds. We are the med bed.
Mm, that's right. That's right. If you work with 432 hertz frequency, the frequency of light, that's a really powerful way that you can really raise your own consciousness.
Yeah. I'm just, for as much as we would have to give thought to that we are originating everything in the present moment with free will, as much as that would seem to hold true, to me, I feel like a big part of what we're coming into understanding right now is there's also an echo aspect to our present moment. And that echo aspect is everything we've ever experienced. All of our lineage of soul and of human up to that point, coming into that code or knowledge or awareness or information and making a real time decision or choice by choice. But like I
Yeah,
think when people say it's been done in the energetic field, there's a lot of truth to that. And the echo is starting to feel like more in the same timing as the actual
sure.
energetics, right?
And you trace that back through right to the source event, which is your divine spark from God. Dolores Cannon talks about that. And so all that stuff that's happened since that moment when you were a divine spark from God, we're just basically sorting the folders on that one.
Well, I mean, and then again, it's like we all know within ourselves that we know, but I can't prove it to you, and you can't prove it to me. So how do I know? How do I know I that my energy or whatever won't just expire or whatever? But to me that doesn't scare me. To me it's just like, okay, well then that just puts more emphasis on this moment now. Like like you're only going to be you one time. I've said this many times, but you're only going to be you one time. What is it that you have now that you didn't have before you came into this incarnation? What is the one thing that you have now that you didn't have before? Because everything else we have. We may not remember it. Our telekinesis may not be working at 100%, but I have my life experience, and I listen to people obviously on the show, and talk to Morgan every day. We talk about this stuff. We talk to do these groups. She does these groups, and to me, it's the human, our history. It's our memories. It's our past in this incarnation. These traumas and these other, let's say, substantial life episodes coming back, or even obscure ones coming back out of nowhere with this
Yeah,
gold. Like that seems to be happening a lot. Like really
that's true.
old vivid memories that never came up ever, or came up several times and you thought you were done and they come back. Like some really deep clearing seems to be getting done.
Definitely. I have a soul healing group and we connect every fortnight. And also community chat. So I think it's interesting how you notice when you come together in groups that you're often working through the same thing at the same time. So there again, another reflection of yourself, and you're all working on it together. It's very interesting how that synchronicity
Hmm.
happens.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, the universal energy out there right now is not going to let us go. It's only going to get louder if you're not looking at something. It's becoming
Mm.
more and more difficult to remain unconscious.
Inert.
Yeah, inert as in motionless. Yeah, when the truth
Mm.
is we're inertia. We're moving constantly. But you know, yeah, I think it's. I wrote this in a Soul Speak the other day. I'm not ascending. I'm growing up. Morgan used to tell me that. When I first met her, she'd say, "I don't call it ascending. I call it growing up. That's what my higher self calls it." I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds right." But like it's like time's up. It's time to grow up. It has
And
nothing to
I like
do
that
with.
expression growing up because
Uh,
it's like a child. When you're a child
uh,
and everything's exciting and fresh and you're innocent and, everything's, joyful in a sense, often when you're little. So that growing up, that childlike innocence of being open to, whatever the universe unfolds for us. I like that.
yeah, yeah. Mom was kicking us out of the nest.
That's true.
What do you?
Yes.
So, what's your? How do you think this is all going to unfold? Do you think we'll start to see supernatural traits, high level, above five sensory level sensitivities? Uh, I'm talking immediate. I'm talking like within the next year and a half.
I think so.
Technology that's been hidden. Star family revealing themselves. in a bigger way? You know, how do you think it's going to go?
Well, in terms of our own, I think David Wilcox calls it the executive function. The abilities that we have that are higher abilities, I think we're all feeling an increase in our telepathic, intuitive, spiritual gifts and more synchronicities. So definitely those sorts of things are amping up. And we're seeing that happen, with all these, for example, all the solar emissions and the pushes we're getting of all the light that's coming down. It's pushing us also to connect to these gifts. The other day I did a bit of sun gazing at the sun. It was about 4:30, and straight away I felt shift happening from the encodings from the sun that were coming into my pineal gland. So definitely that's happening, and I think that we are getting more and more connections with our galactic families happening as well. As I said before, more and more people are sending me emails and photos and videos of UFO experiences amping up, where in their backyard they've got UFOs flying back and forth and all sorts of things. And so that's happening, and it can be happening also at an individual level as opposed to a great collective level, although it is happening in that way as well. And I think that's part of us evolving. The more that we raise our frequency and vibration, the more capable we are of connecting with these higher, they're a galactic family. I'm not saying they're better than us because we're all equal, but the more that we raise our vibration, we're not going to go into meltdown if we actually connect with them. So I think that goes hand in hand with the raising of our gifts and our evolution.
Somebody just brought up a good point. Thank you. Janie said that yesterday her partner got knocked out from the energies. I'm not sure if it was a masculine thing or because I got a bump up in frequency myself. Uh, you know, caused the woman goes first and masculine raises thing. Yeah, we had in these groups that we were in specific to the masculine was what people were feeling. It was pretty amazing. I felt it big time. So I don't know totally. I started to read that because I was connecting it to what you were talking about, but in a way, but like some people, most people, I guess we all are going through this individually, but there are more and more couples, partners that are popping up that are creating a frequency that's in a trajectory of or is Trinity energy, equally serving energy to each side of the triad. And with that comes in the and I mean this in the most sacred sense, the sacred sexuality, sacred sexual frequency, life force frequency, whatever you want to call it, is bringing to the table in its own way sacred coding, sacred wisdom, memories. And there's no right or wrong answer. And I've talked to many couples, but have you experienced anything like that? With your partner, where you hit a certain frequency, and then all of a sudden the dam breaks open, and you're in the middle of the cosmos, or some crazy
Yeah,
stuff starts happening.
yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really important part of the ascent of the raising of humanity and the evolution of humanity, that ability to connect in that way with our partners, and that's the highest connection to the divine source. So yes, we have been experiencing things. We sometimes do prayers and meditations together, and then we'll get immediate things happen after that, as well as other connections, obviously, sexual connections and things. So, yeah, I think that's a really important part of the evolution, and the ability to really love, honor, and respect our partners as an aspect of self and as an aspect of the divine. And the more that we can do that, the quicker the planet's going to send. It's a huge part of the quickening and the acceleration of the planetary evolution, I think, is that ability to connect in that way and to really take what has been completely corrupted, which is our perception of sexuality, particularly, the Western cultures, how they have taken it to the deepest, darkest levels and really raise that up to really put the sexual connection back in its place, which is the stepping stone to God and
Mm-hmm.
to
That's
a
right.
connection to the divine.
I don't think it's.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. That's a great
Yeah.
point to make.
I don't. Yeah, there's a bit of a lag. I'm sorry. I don't. I don't think it's just the Western world. I
No,
think. I
it is
think
everywhere.
this whole sexual molestation, what is it called?
Mm, mm.
Incest. All of these things
Yeah, pedophilia,
have
all that.
been. That's right. All all of these things have been there since day one.
It's
It's
true.
been it's been the it's been the
It
most important seed planted in that design that we created to create the most extreme polarity to the truth. And so imagine, and this sounds crazy, but this is what's happening. This is just one way to describe what's happening. We're going from a planet, let's just say we're going from a frequency field where porn, distorted sex, performance, appearance, I mean, you can go right down the list, is our, or has been, or was our standard for understanding intimacy, which totally
mm,
blinded us to the fact that we could be making love to the goddess or the god, right?
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
to go from that to a space where every single intimate encounter in that field, because that's the only thing the field can support, is going to be one making love to the god or goddess and vice versa. So
Mm.
so for us to be getting to shame and guilt and these really yucky parts of humanity, that means that, to me, that means that that sacred sexuality uh, stream will be more available.
Sure, exactly. You've got to confront the things that are creating that in the first place and then transmute that energy. Absolutely. And, because sexuality is so incredibly powerful, it's been the go to for the dark to really put that negative spin on so that they're able to maintain that they were able to maintain their levels of control because it's so empowering when we connect to our highest level of sexuality and um, both within for ourselves and our partner. Yeah.
You mentioned the dark again. We do all this meditation and grid work. Why couldn't we just set an intention, all of us, like even right now? I mean, they're all in an etherical private boardroom somewhere. Why don't we just go break the fucking door down and everybody just walk in and we'll just shower them with love and the power of our sacred sexuality?
Well, actually, that's interesting too that you mentioned it because I had one of the viewers for my channel contacted me this week and she said she had this incredibly powerful dream and it's not about sexuality specifically, but it's what you're talking about, which is that she saw Scott Morrison and she saw all his misdeeds in this lifetime, but she saw where it emanated from, which was, severe abuse
Of course.
himself when he was young. And then he just continued that pattern through his life. And then, so she was guided to just open her heart and send him these powerful, really, really strong beams of light and love. And she saw his energy shifting as she was doing that. She saw it sort of transmuting from more of a reptilian energy to more human energy. And she said that she felt like he never had that level of love and light directly coming at him before. And so that's what we're talking about, which is, sending that sort of energy to everyone on the planet, and transmuting in that way. And that's a fantastic, I think, metaphor, because he's one of the most disliked people in Australia at the minute. And so I thought that was a great,
He's a pompous ass.
yeah, it's a great metaphor for what we're
So,
talking about.
so, and I'm kidding. You know what? Let me retract that statement because this is my whole point. My whole point is, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. My whole point is because it goes back to what you said earlier. White hats, dark hats. Your explanation was perfect. This is us we're looking at. So the more we hang on to a narrative, oh, there's white hats, oh, there's dark hats, oh,
It's
whatever.
polarizing.
The more
Yeah,
we do that, we're perpetuating the separation and the duality. And so the
yeah,
reason that I was asking the question is because if these things, if the lowest levels of, we say the lowest, the worst levels of shame, and I'm talking about personal shame,
yeah,
personal guilt within yourself. So I think like there's two things to your point that we could do that are the best things we could do in the world for ourselves, for each other, for the universe. One is to stop focusing on the external shames and blames and atrocities and horrific things and damning something outside of you. Go to
mm,
the core of yourself. Ask yourself what is the lowest level of shame, the lowest level of guilt, where are they at that haven't been addressed, right? Like so that would be one to me. And then
that's right. So,
the other one would be like we do it all day long. I just did it with Scott Morrison. Like and you just created the answer because the answer was something happened to that person who is me to make them be and do what they do.
mm,
Even Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Hitler, whoever, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Something happened. They had the same contract we did. Go down to the earth, be a human being. It's not going to be that easy, but before we could even get our arms around it, we signed it, and here we are.
mm, yeah. I think that step of acknowledging, recognizing, identifying where it is in ourselves that we are unwhole, where we're not unified, that is a real key. And you can then go into it and you can ask, in a meditation, you can ask to be shown, and synchronicities will show you, and just going in and doing work on that, and sending, and when you are able to recognize it, to be able to send yourself unconditional divine love and forgiveness. A great prayer that you can use for that in a meditation is to see yourself standing in front of yourself and doing the Ho'oponopono prayer with yourself. And that can be incredibly powerful. Some people do that prayer daily, to transmute all aspects of, the stuff that's coming. So,
Exactly. Yeah,
mm,
you're going to have a lot more success. We're all going to be a lot more successful um, asking for forgiveness than waiting for someone to apologize, right? Like we
you
can't
can't make
control,
somebody
yeah.
else do something. Yeah. You can work with them on the inner, you can talk to their angels, and you can talk to them on the inner and send them love as well. So that's another way that you can do it as well, energetically, and send them love on the inner. So you do it, just in a meditation, or you can go in and talk to them on the inner. So that's called soul conferencing. It's really powerful.
Anything we can imagine, anything that we can conceive, any method we want to try.
Yeah,
Obviously, that's in alignment and stable and not intrusive of other people's fields. We can do anything. I can travel to that room where you're at right now. Vice versa. We can go to Antarctica. We can go to the inner Earth. This to me is the biggest, um, I guess, like the biggest part of it that's coming up now. To me, like
And
all the shadow work, zero pointing, everything that we've done, everything that we've downloaded, starting to understand that the imagination and the time that elapses between the creation of whatever in the imagination and the actual physical manifestation is becoming very, very short.
yes, the creativity is a key as well. It's such a resource, it's such a tool. So when you tap into your own inner creativity, I'm looking at your background there too, Todd. It's amazing. It's very creative. So,
These are
when
from
you
people. This is the
meditate,
Soulogy Vortex. These are people from all over
oh,
the only exception is the books. I bought Robert Sepper's 4 books. The rest of them they've been given. Everything there's been gifted. So isn't that beautiful?
lovely. How
Other than
beautiful.
the mandalas, Morgan made the mandalas.
Gorgeous. It makes it even more special. So everything that we create from that core of our own soul is a beautiful gift to give the world at this time. Whether it's a painting, a song, whatever. And so we
Positive
can use
thoughts.
creativity as well as a brilliant tool to really help ourselves and help the collective to really grow and evolve.
Right on.
I'm a singer and I write music and
Oh, you want to
so
sing a
every
song
time
for us? You want to sing a song
oh
for us
gosh.
before we get out of here? Sing a song for us.
Okay. I
I'm
love
a conscious
Amazing
rapper.
Grace.
I don't really sing, but uh,
I,
I
I,
like to rhyme.
well, I haven't warmed up my voice, so who knows how it's going to sound, but it doesn't matter. It's just the energy. I love the song Amazing Grace because I
Oh
think
wow.
that grace is something that we're really being asked to step into, which is when you are able to rise above earthly things that are, 3D and
Yeah.
dualistic. There's polarity and potential, negative things. When we step above that and we step into the higher sort of states, we're stepping into grace. And I think we're really required at the moment to really work with that energy of trust and grace.
Yeah.
And so the energy of this song, Amazing Grace, to me emanates that frequency of grace. And that's incredibly powerful right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it a go.
It's a great song.
I
Sure, you'll
love
do
it.
fine.
It's a bit. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Damnation. Holy shiitake mushrooms. That was good. That was real good.
Thank you.
It's a great
I
song,
love that
Amazing Grace.
thing.
It's a great song.
It's a beautiful song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
thank
really
you.
is. That'll turn anyone's head. Any decent rendition of Amazing Grace will turn your head.
Yeah, it will. It's
Yeah, I
that
think.
frequency.
Huh? What's that?
It's that frequency. Yeah.
It is. It is the frequency.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah.
Oh, that's
That song
beautiful.
is like just off the hook. So, all right, man, it was good checking in with you. I just want to tell thank you for coming in, sharing space with us, and honoring us with your
Oh,
presence, and
thank you.
and best to you and your partner and all your endeavors. If you and your
Thank you.
partner ever
And
want to come on, reach out to Morgan or me, and we love to get couples on. Uh,
oh, lovely. And I want to say too, Todd, thank you to the great job that you're doing tirelessly to raise, spread higher consciousness and unify and all the things that you're doing to help this process that we're experiencing right now on Earth. You know, you're doing a fantastic job in Morgan. So just want to give you kudos for that.
Thank you so much. You take care. See you later again in 2022. Peace out.